Krishna has many names. He has the most names out of anyone. And the name Gopal means protector of the cows. And the name Kana is it's kind of a nickname. It means like dear one. It can also mean golden or many different things. It can mean food. It can mean ear. But in the context of it being Krishna's name, it means he's very dear. Gopal meaning protector of the cows, and Das meaning servant. So, as Nityananda Chandra Prabhu stated, when we take vows, when we find a spiritual teacher and we want to follow in his footsteps, we want to learn from him, then we take vows to follow certain principles, to chant Hare Krishna for the rest of our life. And at that point, the spiritual teacher gives you a name, and the new name is symbolic of a new life. It's a life fully dedicated to the spiritual path. And he awards you a name of the Lord, followed by Das, which means you're his servant. So, but I'm not his servant. I'm his aspiring servant. Because I'm not perfect, but I'm an aspiring servant of Krishna. Thank you all for being here. It means a lot to me. Hare Krishna, everyone. And I had a class kind of planned, but we'll see what happens. I feel kind of spontaneous too. I'll talk a little bit about my story, because that's always a glorification of Krishna, because Krishna is the supreme controller, and he's making all arrangements in our lives for certain things to happen, to meet certain people, to hear certain things. And so I'll share a little bit about that to glorify Krishna. And we'll talk about who Krishna is and why we should center our life around him. But yeah, as Nityananda Chandra Prabhu said, from a very young age, I had an intense desire to dance. Actually, my family's business growing up was a dance studio. So it's actually kind of funny. I think it's a past life thing, because as soon as I entered my mother's womb, that's when she decided, I'm going to open a dance studio. And so she did. That was my family's business growing up. And so I was raised there, and I danced a lot, and it was really fun. It was also preschool. And then I went on to a high school, but I went to an arts high school to study dance because I was obsessed with it. And then I went on to college to study dance. So I actually have a degree in dance because I'm so obsessed with dancing. And then even beyond that, after I graduated school, I started working. I was a professional dancer for some time. And then, as Nityananda Chandra Prabhu said, there's no greater place to dance than a Hare Krishna temple. You can be constantly dancing at every moment. It's so joyous. And we'll talk a little bit about why that is as well. But really what made me decide to become a monk is to take my spiritual life seriously. I was working, and I thought in high school, once I get to college, I'll be happy. I'll be set. Once I got to college, I realized this isn't what I thought it was going to be. And then I thought, once I'm working, once I have a job, once I'm a professional, then I'll be happy. And then I got there and I realized, oh, this is what it is? This is what I thought was going to happen? And that's when I started really questioning. Even from a young age, I was questioning. I can remember memories of being very, very young and thinking, what is this? Why am I here? Do you ever feel that way? Sometimes you're just sitting in bed at night before you're falling asleep, and you raise your hand up towards your face, and it's dark, and you just realize you're in a body. You realize that, why am I experiencing this right now? Why am I in this basement in downtown Brooklyn right now? Why am I experiencing? And these questions entered my mind from a young age. And I recognized at one point that if you go down to the lowest I wouldn't say lowest, but the innermost point, that we're all the same actually, beyond the skin, beyond the mind, that we're something deeper and we're all similar in that way. And much later did I find out that that's because we're a spirit soul, which we'll also talk about. Fast forward to college, I was trying to find happiness in all the wrong places. And it led me to a really low place, very, very depressed. And at that point, I hit kind of a rock bottom. And I realized it wasn't through drugs, it wasn't through sex, it wasn't through money, it wasn't through these false, prestige. It wasn't through any of this that I was going to find happiness. And I really started questioning because I had no other choice. I wasn't functioning properly. I was missing my classes. I wasn't talking to anyone. And it got to a point where I just started praying. I don't know to who, to what. I wasn't raised any particular way to think of God or any religion. So I didn't know what, but I was praying. Somehow I was praying. And I just said, please, I hear these stories of these yogis who go off to the Himalayas. And I was feeling that way. I was like, I want to abandon everything. I just want to run away. But mostly I was praying, at least give me time. At least give me time to meditate. At that point, I was seeking and I was looking into I was looking for answers everywhere. Mostly in quantum physics, actually. Because that really fascinated me. I started looking into epigenetics, neurogenetics, how the brain works, how it works with our emotions. And then I started getting into meditation. And at that point, I just prayed for more time because I was so busy at school. I was like, how am I going to meditate? How am I going to figure everything out? And the pandemic hit. And I was like, great, because I was actually in a very fortunate situation. Not everybody had that privilege, of course, which I recognize, but I was very fortunate. I was put in a place where I had a roof over my head, I had food on the table, and I could do what I asked for, which I just wanted to meditate. And I took a yoga teacher training, and through that, I found the Bhagavad Gita and the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. This was while I was in my first year of college, and it was a huge game changer. When I started reading this book, it did a whole 180 on my life, for real. And I was getting all the answers I was looking for. In fact, before I opened it, actually, I ordered it on Amazon, actually. So I got it in the mail because the teacher was online, so I didn't know him in person and didn't know where to find it. Anyway, when I got it in the mail and I unpackaged it, I realized this is it. This is the truth. Something really deep in me just pulled out and was like, this is what I was looking for. And it turned out to be true because my life completely changed for the better. And I started chanting. I started reading. I still didn't know any devotees, but again, this is all Krishna's arrangement for his glorification, that he made all these tiny maneuvers in my life so that I could come to this point. And I was vegetarian at the time, and I just stumbled across, I went to Divya's Kitchen on the Lower East Side. Maybe some of you know that place is a wonderful vegetarian restaurant run by a devotee. And right next door was a temple of Krishna. What? I was shocked. I already had an altar of Krishna in my apartment. I was offering prasad. I was offering food and having prasad. I was chanting. I was already engaging in some spiritual practice. I just didn't know anyone else until I stumbled across this temple. So I went for a program. I went to Kirtan, and it that was it. I was like, this is my spiritual family. I feel like I found what I've been looking for. And then slowly, I was coming to programs. I was still very busy with school and work at that point. But again, Krishna makes arrangements, and one thing led to another, and the opportunity opened up, and I moved into the temple. I went to college for, my material desires. Let me go to spiritual college now and actually get this stuff figured out. Because I was realizing, and we'll talk about this too, I wanted to center my life around Krishna. I was learning more and more about how great this practice is and who Krishna is, but I didn't know how. How am I going to practice bhakti in this chaotic world? I didn't know anything. So first, I had to learn. And so that's when I moved into the temple around 2 years ago. And it's been the best life since. I'm not saying everybody should be a monk. It just fit my personality. And it's been a beautiful process since. And anyway, whatever I've learned has been in my short time here. So I hope you can take any ounce of it into your heart and carry it forward would be the greatest success. So centering your life around Krishna, this is an image of Srila Prabhupada, who is a prime example. He was a pure devotee, and he came from Vrindavan, India, in 1965. He came here on a steamboat, and he suffered 2 heart attacks on the way here. And he came to preach the message of Krishna consciousness with the world. He came to share this message of love with everyone. And so he's really the reason that I'm here, the reason we're all here, because this is all a manifestation of his heart. And why did he have so much power behind him to do so? Because he was completely Krishna conscious. Every action he did was centered around the Supreme. We'll talk about that. Who is Krishna? Does anybody know what the word Krishna means? Any guesses? Any thoughts?
To me, when I hear Krishna, I think about the Supreme Being.
Yeah? Great. Yeah?
God.
Yes? Bhavya in the back.
It literally just means like magnetism, attraction.
Yeah. Yeah, those are all perfectly right. So Krishna means the reservoir of pleasure. Krishna also means that he's the all-attractive. Just like we were just saying, he's magnetic. He attracts every living entity towards him. He's all attractive, all beautiful. Krishna also means blackish or blue. And if you think about it in terms of the color spectrum, what we perceive as the color black is actually just absorbing all the other colors on the light spectrum. So you see this red cover here. That's simply because the light is shining and the cloth is absorbing every other color but red. And so the red light from the light spectrum is bouncing back into your eyes. And that's why you see the color red. But black, the color black, kind of like this cover, it's all absorbing all colors. So it's actually kind of an absence of color, so to say. And that also ties in because Krishna's all attractive. And the root of the word Krish, can everyone say that? Krish?
Krish.
Krish. Even when you say it, it kind of sounds like Krish. Krish. It means that which attracts. So Krishna, as it was mentioned, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. That's from Srimad Bhagavatam, which means he's the Supreme, who is full of 6 opulences. Has anyone heard about maybe one of Krishna's opulences? Or you could guess, yeah.
Wealthy?
Yes, he has all wealth.
Beauty.
He has all beauty.
Fantastic dancer.
He's a fantastic dancer. That's kind of included in there. Yeah, for sure. That's like a sub quality. Yes. Wisdom, yeah, he has all knowledge. He's all knowing.
Loving.
He's all loving. Yes. All knowing, yes. So these are the 6 that are listed according to the scriptures. So these are the opulences of Krishna. He has all beauty. He has all power. He has all knowledge. He has all strength. He has all fame and all renunciation. So when a personality has all 6 of these in full, that means that's Krishna. There's only one supreme who can have these unlimitedly. So these qualities are ever expanding in Krishna because he's unlimited. In us, though, we also see those qualities. There's beautiful people in the world. There's powerful people, knowledgeable people, strong people, famous people, and very renounced people as well. And these qualities we can see in ourselves, in your own life, in your day-to-day. You're constantly thinking about these things in subtle or gross ways. So, yes.
May I ask? I don't want to deter you from your teaching. How does fame fit Krishna?
Yeah. So Krishna is the most famous personality. Because if you think about it, even in if you were to just go around and ask people, have you heard of God before? Have you heard of some concept of God before? Or like some supreme being before? Most people say, I've heard about that. So Krishna is the most famous one. Even though people may not know Krishna in specifics, which we'll also talk about later, they at least know about God. They know about some supreme source. And so he's the most famous in that way. Krishna is also Purusha. Purusha means he's the supreme person. It also means he's the supreme enjoyer. And it also means he's omnipresent, meaning he's everywhere at once. He's omnipotent. He has all potencies within him. And he's omniscient, which means he knows everything. So the Bhagavad Gita, many of you have seen or heard or maybe read this book before, maybe you haven't. The Bhagavad Gita, this was spoken by Krishna. Then we have another book that we study. It's called Srimad Bhagavatam. This was spoken about Krishna. And why do we have these texts? Does anyone know why we're so fortunate to hear from the Supreme? I mean, if you think about it, we're like humans just like living a very short lifespan. Like, how is it that we're like able to somehow receive spiritual knowledge from the source? Any ideas? Yeah?
There was someone who interpreted the words from Krishna, understanding Krishna consciousness. They misinterpreted the words, and we were given the word as human beings.
Yeah.
Well,
No, but why did Krishna give this message? Why did this book was estimated 5,000 years ago, was when Krishna spoke it. And the original Sanskrit's still there that Krishna spoke. So why did he speak this? And also the Srimad Bhagavatam, which describes him, why was that spoken? Why was that, why is that available for us? Yeah. Sudipta.
I was thinking maybe to help us get through this life.
Yes, yeah. It's because Krishna loves us. That's it. He loves us so much. And so he's giving us this spiritual knowledge for us to utilize. There's actually a technology. It's a science. It says if you read these books, if you chant Hare Krishna, if you associate with the devotees, if you eat Krishna prasadam, if you engage yourself in the process of devotional service, you'll go back to Krishna. Because we'll talk about it, wherever the mind goes is where we go. And so this is from Bhagavad Gita, 18.64 and 66, which is like the basically the end of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna's giving this message, and he's saying, he uses the word priya, which means you're dear to me. It literally means like, I love you, like you're so dear to me. So Krishna is saying this again and again throughout Gita, but then he finally summarizes it in chapter 18, which I think I have time. I'd like to pull up and just read the verses because they're so nice. They're right here. So 64. Krishna is saying, because you are my very dear friend, I'm speaking to you my supreme instruction, the most confidential knowledge of all. Hear this from me, for it is for your benefit. Then he says, always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. Then he says, abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. And I'd love to read this purport. It's a little long, so bear with me, but it's super important for our spiritual lives. And don't worry if you don't understand all the words right away. Just let it sink in and pick up what you can. So the Lord has described various kinds of knowledge and processes of religion. Knowledge of the Supreme Brahman, knowledge of the Supersoul, knowledge of the different types of orders and statuses of social life, knowledge of the renounced order of life, knowledge of non-attachment, sense and mind control, meditation, etc. He has described in so many ways different types of religion. Now, in summarizing Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that Arjuna should give up all the processes that have been explained to him. He should simply surrender to Krishna. That surrender will save him from all kinds of sinful reactions, for the Lord personally promises to protect him. In the 7th chapter, it was said that only one who has become free from all sinful reactions can take to the worship of Lord Krishna. Thus, one may think that unless he is free from all sinful reactions, he cannot take to the surrendering process. To such doubts, it is here said that even if one is not free from all sinful reactions, simply by the process of surrendering to Sri Krishna, he is automatically freed. There is no need of strenuous effort to free oneself from sinful reactions. One should unhesitatingly accept Krishna as the supreme savior of all living entities. With faith and love, one should surrender unto him. The process of surrender to Krishna is described in the Hari Bhakta Vilas. I'm not going to go there. According to the devotional process, one should simply accept such religious principles that will lead ultimately to the devotional service of the Lord. One may perform a particular occupational duty according to his position in the social order. But if by executing his duty one does not come to the point of Krishna consciousness, all his activities are in vain. Anything that does not lead to the perfectional stage of Krishna consciousness should be avoided. One should be confident that in all circumstances, Krishna will protect him from all difficulties. There is no need of thinking how one should keep the body and soul together. Krishna will see to that. One should always think himself helpless and should consider Krishna the only basis for his progress in life. As soon as one seriously engages himself in devotional service to the Lord in full Krishna consciousness, at once he becomes freed from all contamination of material nature. There are different processes of religion and purificatory processes by cultivation of knowledge, meditation in the mystic yoga system, etc. But one who surrenders unto Krishna does not have to execute so many methods. That simple surrender unto Krishna will save him from unnecessarily wasting time. One can thus make all progress at once and be freed from all sinful reactions. Last paragraph. One should be attracted by the beautiful vision of Krishna. His name is Krishna because he is all attractive. One One who becomes attracted by the beautiful, all-powerful, omnipotent vision of Krishna is fortunate. There are different kinds of transcendentalists. Some of them are attached to the impersonal Brahman vision. Some of them are attracted by the supersoul feature, etc. But one who is attracted to the personal feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and above all, one who is attracted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Krishna himself, is the most perfect transcendentalist. In other words, devotional service to Krishna in full Krishna consciousness is the most confidential part of knowledge. And this is the essence of the whole Bhagavad Gita. Karma yogis, empiric philosophers, mystics, and devotees are all called transcendentalists, but one who is a pure devotee is the best of all. The particular words here are ma shuchaha. Krishna is saying, don't fear, don't hesitate, don't worry, are very significant. One may be perplexed as to how one can give up all kinds of religious forms and simply surrender unto Krishna, but such worry is useless. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you for listening to this long but excellent purport by Srila Prabhupada. So I saw a lot of points in there that I personally related to, and I hope you do as well. But now we can talk about who we are. And this is a really important point. So we understand who Krishna is, but who exactly are we? We're pure spirit souls. And consciousness is a symptom of that. So the fact that we are conscious now is a symptom of the soul. However, we are also merged now in the material body. It's like a flesh suit. It's like a bag of stool and blood and urine and all these gross things. It's constantly changing. It's constantly giving us problems, giving us grief. You know, we might enjoy our bodies while we're young. Most of us are pretty young here. But then old age is inevitable. Disease is inevitable. Death is inevitable. So the body is temporary. And attachment to this temporary body and world leads to misery. We're also known as jiva. This is a Sanskrit word. And also prakriti. Does anyone know what jiva or prakriti means? Varshana Mataji?
It means the energy of the Lord.
Yes. Jiva specifically means living entity, an individual soul. And Prakriti means the energy of the Supreme. So we are energy of Krishna. We are emanations from Krishna. We are part and parcel of Krishna. And that's why we see all those qualities like fame, beauty, renunciation. That's why we see all of them in ourselves. Because we're the same in quality, we're just different in quantity. It's compared to a drop of water in the ocean. So the drop of water you take from the ocean, it may be salty. It's the same quality as the ocean water, but a vast difference in terms of its quantity. And we're also eternal servitors of Krishna. This is stated in the scripture. Jivera swarupoi Krishnera nitya das. That literally translates to that we are eternal servants of Krishna. That's our constitutional position. So no matter how much you try, you can take it from me, you maybe take it from your own experience, but in my short life so far, I've tried really hard to be the enjoyer, to be the controller. And it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. When I try to enjoy this world, it doesn't work. It always leads to some problem. It may be some happiness there. That's true. There's some happiness, but it's called chanchala, meaning it's flickering. It means it comes and goes. It's temporary. So that's a terrible state to be in. You know, it's like, where's the real happiness? You know, why am I not happy all the time?
Is that in correlation to ignorance?
Yeah. So when we think that we can enjoy this temporary world, and we're grasping, we're clawing our way to get some temporary happiness, that's because of our ignorance of the fact that if we simply look towards Krishna, who's in our heart, Krishna's always there. He's knocking on the door. He's always knocking. He's always giving us signs. Yet, I know for myself, I don't listen very often. I'm a bad listener. But he's always knocking. He's trying to give us knowledge. He says this in Bhagavad Gita. He says, I'm trying to enlighten you on how to come back to me. And he's constantly giving signs. He's constantly making arrangements. However, we can't see it. Why? Because we're in ignorance. Because we're attached to this temporary world and our temporary body. So the Bhagavad Gita says that as soon as we start detaching from that, we can start hearing the inner guidance from within. That's Krishna, guiding us through this world in a way that ultimately leads to the perfection of life. So who's in the center? Because right now, if you close your eyes for a minute, you don't have to, but if you are willing, and you think about it, from your perspective, who is the center of everything? It's you. Everything you're experiencing is like a bubble around you. Everything is moving around you. Now, you can open your eyes. So this is a dilemma. Because if we're constantly thinking that we're the center, it just leads to more and more misery. Because if we think we're the center, we mean everything revolves around me. The whole universe is meant for my pleasure. And if I'm not happy, then, there's a lot of problems. So this is a misconception we have when we're in ignorance, that we are the center of everything. But in reality, guess who's the center? Krishna. And thank God he's the center. Because otherwise, if I was the center, that would be mayhem. But so these are some good reasons why Krishna is the center. And these are all in Bhagavad Gita, and we could go through them for hours and weeks and years. But because we have a short time, I'll just give like a little word summary. So when we center our life around Krishna, we attain freedom from bondage. So he talks about this in chapter 3. He talks about karma yoga. Karma means action. So what we do in this world, whatever we're doing in this world, we can become free from the bondage to it. How? We have to let go of the results of our action. There's another section on how coming later, so I'll keep that there. Krishna's always also saying that this is the way you can go back home, back to Godhead. So right now we're like fish out of water. Day in, day out, we're flopping on the seashore, struggling in this material world. However, as soon as we practice Krishna consciousness, it's like Krishna is like inviting us back into the ocean. And suddenly we're back home, and we're where we feel our natural state, which is again that of a servant of Krishna. This is how we attain peace. Bhoktaram yagnatapasam sarva loka maheshwaram suhridam sarvabhutanam gnatvam shantam richati. Which means we attain peace when we realize that Krishna is the supreme controller. This is also the highest form of yoga practice. Yoga meaning connection to the supreme. There's nothing superior to this. Krishna carries what we lack and preserves what we have. So because he's supreme and we are infinitesimal in comparison, he's so kind, he carries what we lack. So we might not, we might not have our spiritual practice down. We might not be so great about so many things, but we don't have to worry about that. Krishna carries what we lack and preserves our good qualities. He's the source of everything. And by listening, we can receive inner guidance. And the final, what we just read, is that he's the ultimate shelter, and we can become free from our past. Does anyone ever regret something they've done in the past? I do, a lot of things. But Krishna is saying you don't have to worry at all, actually. If you just take to this process Everything's taken care of. You have no karma. You have no bondage to this material world. And this is more of the how now. So Bhagavad Gita, again, throughout the whole text, and if you want to do more research, you can take a picture of this, but due to time constraints, we're just going to glide through it. So chapter 2, he's saying we should be detached from the results of our actions. So this is about our expectations in life. You know, you may get your dream job, you know, and then you start working in your dream job, and you start working your way up, and you think, oh, I'm gonna be the vice president, I'm gonna be the CEO in like 5 years. Just you wait. I'm working so hard. Suddenly, you're fired. You're laid off. What happened? Sometimes these things just happen, and we don't even know how they happen. We don't know why they happen. And when we're attached to that, we experience misery. But when we're detached from it, we can think, Krishna has a better plan in store. I might go through some suffering. I might not like this due to my personal desire, but I can surrender knowing that Krishna has a better plan in store for me. We can also dedicate everything to Krishna. So every action we're doing is dedicated towards Krishna. A great example of this was Srila Prabhupada. He had a disciple who was in his room, and they were just talking very colloquially, and he said, the perfect disciple doesn't even move the pen on the desk from here to here unless the spiritual master says so. And the spiritual master is the representative of Krishna. So a way we can please Krishna is through the spiritual master as well. Bhagavad Gita talks about we should see Krishna everywhere. So we can be looking at each other, you know, we may be seeing each other's physical bodies, but can we connect consciously to the fact that you're a spirit soul just like I am, that you're conscious just like I am? And when we connect on that spiritual platform, we see each other equally, actually, because we see that every layer outside of that is just due to our conditioning, it's just due to our past. But we're that spirit soul, and when we connect to that, we can also see even deeper into the soul of the soul, which is Krishna himself. He's guiding us. It said there's like 2 birds on a tree, and one of them is eating the fruit. That's us. We're eating the fruits of our action. And Krishna's sitting next to us, watching us, waiting for us to just turn around and talk to him. So also Bhagavad Gita says we should take shelter of the spiritual energy. So what happens when you, I've experienced this before, so I'll just use it as a personal experience. What happens when you go out all night and you party and you maybe drink a lot with your friends and you black out, and then you wake up the next morning and you are vomiting and you regret everything. How do you feel? Yeah. You're like, in that moment, you're like, I'm never doing this again. You're like, I'm never doing this again. However, what happens when you take time in your life to meditate? What happens when you take time in your life to read Bhagavad Gita? What happens when you come to the temple and you maybe do some service, even if something small like cleaning or helping someone in need? You feel invigorated. You feel, oh, I can do more of this. I can expand myself more because this is beneficial. This is part of the spiritual energy. Yes. So by taking shelter of the spiritual energy, we can expand our service. Bhagavad Gita talks about we should perform our duty in this world. So this is a big misconception because I'm a monk, you know, I'm in the renounced order of life. And there's many devotees, like 99% of them aren't monks. They live outside the temple, they work, they have a family. So externally, they look like anyone else. Yet internally, they're a monk. Internally, they're a devotee. And so they're practicing devotional service while performing their duties in the world. So it may look different for everyone. But internally, they're fully aware of Krishna, and every action they're performing is for Krishna's pleasure. Krishna also says very practical things in Bhagavad Gita. How to worship him with devotion. By chanting his name, In the temple room, you may have noticed, we bow down, we pay our obeisances, as it's called. This is us demonstratively our love for Krishna, our surrender to Krishna. And Prabhupada even said, one of his disciples asked him, but Prabhupada, I don't feel like bowing down in the temple room. Like, that's kind of weird, like I've never bowed down before. And he says, just bow down, and then eventually you'll feel like bowing down. You may do it externally at first, but the day will come when you feel the bhakti, when you feel the love flowing through you, that makes you want to bow down and demonstrate your love for Krishna. He also says very practically we can offer food. This is in Bhagavad Gita 9.26. He said, Pushpam param patram toyam yome bhakti prayachati taram bhakti upaharinam ashnami pretatmanaha. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, fruit, or water, I will accept it. So Krishna is saying that if we even offer him something small in these categories, he'll accept that love. And in return, the food becomes spiritualized. It becomes free from karma, becomes free from that negative energy of this material world. And so we'll, in a few minutes, we'll honor some of that wonderful prasadam. So this is food that's been offered to Radha Govinda. And because, again, Krishna is he's omnipotent and he's omnipresent, that means he can transform material energy, which is also his energy. It's just his external energy. So he can transform his external energy into spiritual energy. So this is why the deities are in the temple room. To some, they may look like just marble statues that are very nicely decorated. But to the devotees who have they're seeing through the eyes of love. They see how the Lord has transformed the deity in the temple into spiritual energy. And in that way, it's non-different. We can agree, right, that God is omnipotent? Yeah? So by definition, that means his name is omnipotent, his form is omnipotent, his pastimes are omnipotent, his qualities are omnipotent, everything about him, because he's absolute. So we can also offer our food to him. We can offer everything to him. Krishna says, whatever you do, whatever actions you perform, whatever you eat, whatever you give away in charity, do that, O son of Pritha, as an offering to me. He's talking to Arjuna. We fix our mind on him, and I mentioned this earlier. Wherever the mind goes, energy flows. So if you have a to-do list, your mind's focusing on the to-do list, your energy flows that direction, your body starts moving. It gets things done. So in the same way, when we focus our mind on Krishna, all of our energies get directed towards him. And the point of all of this is, the final moments, where do we go at the time of death? It's wherever the mind takes us. So this body is like a suit. It's like a gross body, but we also have a subtle body as well. It's made up of all the energy, the mind, the false ego, the intelligence. And so this is like a subtle body, and it carries the soul like a package delivery to the next body. That's what Bhagavad Gita talks about. Dehinosmin yata dehe kumanam yuvanam jara tatra dehantara prapte dira tatra namuyati. So a sober person is not bewildered by such a change because they see that, even in this life, I'm a little boy, then I'm a teenager, then I'm a grown man, and then I'll die. So even this life, my body's constantly changing. So it's non-different. It's just it's like taking off a coat, Krishna says, and putting a new one on. So, but when we fix our mind on him, we end that process. No more misery. No more repeated turmoil of birth and death over and over again. No, we actually transcend. And we go back home, back to Godhead. And Krishna says, trust him. He says, trust me. He demonstrates in Bhagavad Gita chapter 11 that he's the supreme person because Arjuna is testing him. He's like, Krishna, I knew you as a friend before this. He was like, you were my best friend. We even sat on the same bed together. We ate together. We had sleepovers. But now you're telling me you're God? What is this? And he had faith in him, but he knew that we were listening. So he said, Krishna, can you just reveal like your universal form? Just reveal all your opulences to me. Just so I can for sure like say, okay, hands down, you're God. And Krishna said, yeah. And he showed him. That's chapter 11. It's really far out. And he says, yeah, you can trust me. I'm the supreme. And then chapter 16, it talks about different qualities, and we can also cultivate our own godly qualities in ourselves. You know, whatever, there's like, in our heart, there's like two dogs, it's said. One is a good dog and one's a bad dog. So the more we feed the bad dog, the more bad characteristics we'll have. The louder the bad dog will bark while the good dog is starving. So we need to be feeding these good qualities in ourselves through practice, through spiritual practice, so that eventually we can transcend both. Actually, the goal is to transcend both and be transcendental. But it takes coming into that goodness to further that. And then the final instruction Krishna is saying is to just surrender everything. That's the easiest, he's saying. But it's the hardest. So Prahlad Maharaj in Srimad Bhagavatam, he says, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam Vadanam Dasyam Sakyam Atma Nivedanam, which means these are 9 processes that anyone can engage in order to cultivate spiritual life. That's hearing about Krishna's name, fame, qualities, pastimes, associates, realm, etc. It's chanting about Krishna's name, fame, pastimes, associates, realm, etc. It's remembering Krishna's name, fame, pastimes, associates, realm, etc. We can serve the lotus feet of the Lord. We can worship the Lord, like in the temple. Or you can make your home a temple as well, having a picture of Krishna. You can also become his servant. So this is our internal meditation that we want to reconnect with our natural state, which is that of a servant of Krishna. Then we consider the Lord our best friend. Just like he's saying in Bhagavad Gita, he's saying over and over again, Priya, which means you are dearmost to me. He's saying, I love you. He's our best friend. He's reassuring us again and again. Because, we have friends in this world, but in my experience, it's like they come and go. Like even some of the bestest friends from like childhood that I have such fond memories with, suddenly it's like, wow, yeah, I haven't heard from you in like 2 years. But Krishna's always there. He's always there. And he says, I'm your best friend. Why? Because I want what's best for you. And I know what's best for you. I know you better than you know yourself. So he's saying to trust him and surrender everything to him. In other words, serving him with the body, mind, and soul. It's a whole deal. And of course, the ultimate conclusion of all the Vedas, ultimate conclusion of Bhagavad Gita, of Srimad Bhagavatam, of any scripture in the world, is to chant the holy names. And specifically, we have Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So do this as an experiment. If you take one thing away from you, it's this. Do this as an experiment. You don't have to change anything about your life as it is now. You may be already chanting or reading Bhagavad Gita. You may not be. Wherever you are, just add more chanting to your life. See how things change. So I mentioned the word yoga. It means connection. Yoga also means plus. So we're not taking anything away. We're just saying, just add a little bit of Krishna to your life. And you'll see. Suddenly magic starts happening. Things start moving. And gradually we become purified. Naturally, our bad habits fall away. It's an automatic process. That's what Krishna is saying. He says, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. I carry what you lack and preserve what you have. He's saying it again and again. He's saying, do not worry. Surrender unto me. And we can do this by always chanting Hare Krishna. This is the easiest and most sublime way to engage in meditation and worship of the Supreme. And specifically, a lot of you may know this, but Srila Prabhupada, he would translate this people ask, what does this mantra mean? And he would tell people, Hare means energy of the Supreme. Krishna means the all-attractive one. So we're saying, oh, energy of the Supreme, oh, Krishna, the most beautiful, please engage me in your loving service. That's it. And the more we beg for that, the more mercy we'll get. Thank you so much. I'm wondering if there's any questions. Yeah.
I have two main questions.
Yeah. We had a mic. I'm not sure if it's working because Nityananda Chandraprabhu is not here. It's okay, go ahead.
This mic is for the.
For online. Okay.
So I think I want to ask the first question, but as you were talking, and you said earlier, Krishna has unlimited forms. So
Yeah.
I was gonna ask, like, how many forms does Krishna has? As I was listening to you, we can even relate to ourselves as to seeing each other as a temple of Krishna.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, so the Lord's unlimited. We've established that. And it's described, I'm just going to answer one question at a time. So it's described in Bhagavatam that Krishna is like a candle. And all these other forms of God are also candles. However, there's one original candle that lit all the other candles. Meaning there's one ultimate source, by definition. There's one cause. There's one ultimate source. And that is Krishna in his form, in this little bluish, blackish cowherd boy who plays the flute. It's quite mysterious. But as we practice Krishna consciousness, we can get deeper and deeper realizations of this. And we were actually just talking in a class this morning, and it's really interesting because, some people may be like, oh, this is just a Hindu god. Actually, nowhere in Bhagavad Gita is the word Hindu found, firstly. And no, this is the Supreme Lord for everyone. In fact, we were discussing in the class, there was, what's her name? Saint Therese of Vasily? I'm forgetting. It's a very saintly nun who was living a few decades ago, and she was very advanced in her spiritual practice. She actually recorded in her diary a vision. So she worshiped Jesus Christ as her main practice, yet she attained some mercy and had a vision where she saw this little bluish, blackish boy dancing in a garden. And he saw around him were these milkmaids, these like young girls. And all around him were beautiful trees and birds, and everything was perfect. She had this vision. So this is something that's universal. It's not something belonging to a particular faith. No, it's what all culminate in, actually. So Krishna is the original flame from which all the other forms of God come from, manifest from. Yeah.
And the last one would be, is it only through learning that we have to come back into the material realm by reincarnation? Is it only by lessons? Like, we come back from the spiritual realm to the material realm through reincarnation, only to learn a lesson, or like, what's the reason for reincarnation?
Right. So reincarnation is caused by karma, which means our actions in this world. So depending on what actions we perform and our attachment to those actions, if we're detached from them, we don't accumulate the karma. But when we're attached to the results and we have some emotion about our actions, then that causes samskara, it's called. It causes a kind of a deal that, oh, you're going to deal with this again in the future. It's kind of like you reap what you sow. Whatever energy you put out, you'll get back. So that's kind of how karma works, and it keeps us in this cycle. Again, like you said, to learn these lessons. And but ultimately we're here. Why? Because we have free will. Because if we didn't have free will, that wouldn't be. Krishna would just, he wouldn't enjoy. It's the fact that he gives every living entity, and there's innumerable living entities, he gives them each free will. Why? So that they can have loving exchanges. Krishna wants to serve us, and we want to serve Krishna. That's love. If we were robots and we didn't have free will, there would be no relationship, no exchange. And so because of that free will, we're here because we've misused it. We're here because for a moment we became envious of Krishna and we wanted to be the center. We wanted to be Krishna. We wanted to enjoy like Krishna. But the thing is, it doesn't work because our natural position is Jiver Swarupa Hoy Krishna Nitya Das. We're an eternal servant of Krishna. So he's given us this world, and we're meant to cycle through it and get purified so that we remember our eternal state. Yeah.
What happened in the spiritual realm? The envious part?
It's hard to say because actually different people say different things. And ultimately, though, we'll figure it out when we get there. We should just worry about chanting Hare Krishna, and then we'll return to our eternal state that's full of knowledge and full of bliss. So at that point, we'll know what happened and why. And it'll be beautiful. Because in the course of eternity, this is like nothing. We're eternal. And this momentary existence in this material world is less than a moment. So, something to try to aim for. Sorry, I know we're almost out of time. Maybe one more question, quick. Yeah. Oh. Any more questions?
We
Yes.
can ask after, also you can speak.
Okay.
We'll wait.
Yeah, we can speak after as well. Should we do a very short kirtan?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you all so much.